Hello everybody and welcome to my review of Shadow Beauty. So I started watching this soon after watching True Beauty, which I really enjoyed, and I wanted to watch something with a similar premise and message at the core of the story. So Shadow Beauty is about a student, Adrian, who is bullied by her classmates for being ugly, but in secret, she's also a very popular social media influencer under the alias Genie, where she puts on makeup and a wig and she takes photos of herself, then uses Photoshop to change her face pretty drastically. So like in True Beauty, this also had a similar premise where the female lead has two identities that she has to keep secret. So I thought this had the potential to be a really interesting twist to True Beauty. However, to be honest, I didn't really enjoy Shadow Beauty. I think the message and themes of the show were really good, like how toxic social media can be and unrealistic beauty standards are, and how the characters' stories unfolded was also quite unique. I did watch the entire series just to find out how it ends, so the story definitely held my interest in that regard, but it's just that I would say that my enjoyment while watching Shadow Beauty was pretty low. The series has a darker and more realistic tone. It's not lighthearted fluff like in True Beauty at all, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's completely fine if the creators wanted to go for a more mature tone with morally grey characters, but there was still just something about that show that didn't work for me. And I still can't exactly pinpoint why, but I think the main problem might lie in the characters. So please let me know whether you agree or disagree with this in the comments below. But I just found them all a little strange and weird and not relatable at all. Like, their actions didn't make sense to me, and even later, when their backstories are revealed, I still felt like I didn't truly understand these characters or what's going through their heads. It's not like, you know, when you have a character whose behavior doesn't make sense initially, but then later, when you learn more about who they are, you get those little aha moments of, oh, so that's why they did this in this scene, or that's why they're treating this character in such a way. But I just feel like this show didn't quite hit the mark for me when doing this. And also, none of the characters were likable to me either. None of them had any interesting traits or quirks that made me want to root for them, and they all felt pretty bland and lacked depth somehow. The only exception to this was Hanul. So after that episode where it's revealed why she bullies Adrian, she instantly became my favorite character and the only one whose scenes I was invested in, because she felt like the most dynamic and relatable character and I could understand her. I think another issue I had with the series as well was the stagnant storytelling. There's not enough change or character development to keep you engaged throughout the show. I felt like it was the same situations being hashed over and over again and dragged out until the last possible moment before it gets resolved. And for me personally, when a show does this, it gets very annoying and frustrating to have to sit through. For example, Ae-Jin is victimized for a huge part of the series, and you feel sorry for her. But I eventually just found her reactions to being bullied very tiresome and frustrating. And she always wore the same expression, like a deer stuck in headlights, and she lets herself be dragged around by her bullies like a rag doll. And this happens over and over and over again. Now, while this is quite realistic in real life for someone to be bullied and to never stand up for themselves, but because this is a TV show, the audience needs to see some kind of victory or comeuppance, even if it's a minor one. Otherwise, it just becomes a big drag and you start to lose sympathy for the protagonist who continues to allow themselves to be trampled on, and you just want them to do something. Another example where the scenario is repeated over and over again without any development is the relationship between Adrian and her mother. So Adrian would come home and her mother would try to connect with her and talk to her, but it always ends up with Adrian running to her room angrily and her mother trying to speak with her through the door. And during these interactions, we learn nothing new, and there's no change in character or their relationship or our understanding of them. But one thing I really liked about this show, however, was the victim-bully cycle, where the bully becomes the victim. It was seriously a dog-eat-dog situation where your spot at the top of the school hierarchy is never secure, and it just showed how ruthless and cruel high school can be, where it's everyone out for themselves and people so easily turn it on each other. So I thought that was really interesting to see unfold. And it really honed in on the message that if people love you for shallow reasons like beauty and don't value you for who you are as a person, then they will abandon you. So in the end, you should just focus on being yourself and developing those true bonds where it's not based on appearance or status or anything shallow like that. So overall, I'd say this is a decent drama with a really positive message at the end, but it just wasn't my cup of tea personally. But if the premise interests you and you don't mind watching a show with darker themes and not having a lot of hope or character wins or development moments until towards the end, then give this show a try and see how you go. But if you have already watched Shadow Beauty, I'd love to know your thoughts, so please share them in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and please like the video if you did and subscribe if you want to hear more. So I post weekly on shows that I watch, and I like a really broad range of genres, but things that typically catch my interest are anything queer related or have well written and complex female leads, or that subvert gender norms and expectations, or are just overall well done and compelling stories. So if those kinds of themes interest you, please consider subscribing. Also, feel free to leave me any recommendations on shows that you like in the comments below. And until next time, take care, and I'll see you when I see you.